What's up, everybody? Welcome to the How to Lead podcast, conversation designed to help you develop yourself and those around you. My name's Adam, joined by Clay. Clay, I like today's conversation. I find myself, when I'm in rooms with leaders, talking about it often. I see this as one of the biggest mistakes that a manager or a leader will make is this curse of knowledge. And I think we've all experienced a curse of knowledge from like an end user perspective. I think back to some of those freshman year classes, like maybe freshman year Econ 101.
Right.
And you had the professor that you understood nothing that they said because they forgot what it was like to not know what you don't know. And so it was very hard for them to bring the cookies down on the lower shelf. And I see leaders get caught up in this a lot when it comes to communication. Do you see it too?
Well, for sure, because the curse of knowledge, right? What is the curse of knowledge? It's just thinking that everyone else has the same amount of information that we have. And when you work in something for so long, you forget. It's hard to remember. I mean, have you ever sat recently around somebody with an infant? I mean, we've had infants in our house. I don't remember it. There was a time when it was all I could think about. Right. But right now, we are not in that stage. And so it's real easy to think like, oh, yeah, well, of course, you know how to, put in a car seat or how to. No, I didn't know any of that. I had to go to the fire department to ask them to help me put the car seat in, right? Because I just didn't know any of it. So, yes, I do think there is something really dangerous that leaders do because usually the leader is the first one to the top of the hill oftentimes. The leader is the one who's been in it the longest, right? And so it's very common for the leader to be the one that has the most amount of experience with it. And so, of course, it's natural that the leader would be susceptible to the curse of knowledge.
Yeah. And listen, this curse comes from good intent. So that's what I want to put out there early. Like nobody wakes up any day just going, oh, I'm going to totally confuse my team by speaking at such high level with such complexity that they're not going to be able to understand everything. Here's the big idea. I think we oftentimes overestimate what people know. And I say that as a way to build confidence in you as a leader, not to throw your people under the bus, right? Because again, we've all been there. We know this, right? We know that high school or college oftentimes did not prepare us for life in the real world when it comes to what we're doing from a work perspective. We have institutional knowledge. We have so much experience with people, so much experience with the clients. We know so much. And what I want to do with this episode is give leaders permission to share their stories and their information more freely, because that's the detail that people are really going to crave. And it's going to be a great way to get them. I thought it was said really well. There was a book called The Dream Manager that I went through recently based on a recommendation from a friend. It was a fairly decent book, but this one quote, I guess this was worth the $12, right? Because I've been sharing this quote a lot. And what it said was this, is most people don't fail because they want to fail. So you as a leader, I want you to think about your team. Maybe your team is frustrating you. Maybe you feel like they're making a lot of mistakes. What this author would say is they did not wake up today to do that because they wanted to. They're not lazy. They're not incompetent. They're not doing this on purpose. So nobody wants to fail. So they said most people don't fail because they want to. They fail because they don't know how to succeed. And said another way, they're not failing because they want to. They're failing because they literally don't know another way. They don't understand there's an option to do it differently than the way they're doing it right now. And so I think that's where the curse of knowledge comes in. We see things and we think, don't they understand? You're not supposed to talk to a client that way. Don't they understand? You're not supposed to send emails like that. Don't they understand? That's not the way you handle a deadline when you think you're going to miss it. No, they don't understand. They don't get it. We know it. But these are the moments where we need to teach them that there is another way.
Can I give a couple of just simple examples that came to my mind? You've been in leadership for years, maybe, but you have a new hire who is now leading a meeting, and you forget that this new hire has never led a meeting before,
That's
right?
That's
so
right.
You fail to communicate what are the basics of leading a meeting. What is your goal? What are your hopes? What's the structure? What's the flow? You've sat through countless amounts of meetings that should have been emails, but maybe your new hire hasn't sat in near as many as you have, right?
That's right.
So that would be an example. Here's another one. Maybe you assume that someone on your team understands the unspoken rules of the culture.
That's right.
But they don't, right? Every culture, but particularly cultures at work, They have these unspoken rules, right? When we're going out of town, this is the way we do our email automatic response, right? There's just some unspoken things of how we do it, but you just have to, it's easy to assume that they're just going to get it, but obviously they don't. I like the little definition of curse of knowledge. It's just the psychological tendency to assume others know what we know, right? It's the psychological tendency to assume that others know what we know. And so you're going to be a frustrated leader, you're going to have disengaged employees, and you're going to hit the same mistakes over and over again if you don't pay attention to this.
That's right. And, we talk a lot about leaders model the way. We model the way. So yes, but I've been modeling how to lead meetings. I've been modeling how to communicate during these pitch meetings. I've been modeling it, and I'm going, yes, that's good. So a lot of leadership is caught, not taught. But that's just a lot of it. There still is a whole bunch where you have to open your mouth and use your words to teach people what it takes to be able to do this. So listen, I think if you've ever found yourself saying things like, why aren't they getting this? If you have employees that are saying things to you like, well, I don't know what's expected of me. I don't know what a win is. Nobody told me that kind of stuff. Then maybe the curse of knowledge is impacting your team and your organization. And so let's just talk about 3 real quick things that people can do with all of this. You want to just jump into it?
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Good. Let me go with number 1, assume nobody knows anything, right?
Yeah,
Which, again,
that feels hyperbolic, right?
Yes.
To assume nobody knows anything. But you're not going to lose if you do it that way.
No. And it may be another way to say this is start some of your explanations of things like you would talk to the proverbial 5th grader, right? Like just making things simple, spelling things out, not literally there, but like just going through step by step. It's starting some sentences this way. Let me share real quickly how I think about this. Right? Because that's so much of where that curse of knowledge is. So when I think about pitch meetings, here's how I think about it. I think number 1, we're always trying to solve a problem. So I always think, what is this person's problem that they're dealing with, and how can I position this statement to make sure that we're there? So that's why if you look in the slide deck here, this is on slide 1, where I'm always talking about it this way, because I think if I can't present a solution to a problem they're feeling, I'm never going to be able to sell anything to them, right? So it's just starting some of those sentences with, let me just let you know how I'm thinking.
Yeah, I go into the meeting every time thinking they do not want to be here.
That's right.
So I try to make sure to tell them up front, this is how long it's going to take, and I try to not miss that expectation.
Yes. When I used to do weddings a lot, I would always tell the bride and groom, let me tell you how I think about weddings. I think nobody wants to sit there and listen to me. They want to go eat cake. So therefore, if you let me go, I can get your wedding done in 12 minutes flat, right? Now, I know your parents may want something different, but that's how I think about it. And so It's just letting people know how you are thinking about stuff. It's not talking down to people. And again, your heart here matters. So it's not, hey, little Padawan, you know nothing, and so I'm going to over-explain all of this. It's, I want this person to win. That's why I'm doing this. I want them to win, and so I'm not going to assume that they know anything, and let me just share this. Now, you may want to sit there and go, well, Adam, but I don't want to waste their time. What if I talk for 15 minutes explaining everything, and they're like, duh, you said that last week or whatever. Just give people permission going, if I've already shared this, please just interrupt me. Right? Or if you already get this, please interrupt me. I think there's some qualifiers you can put on the front end, and so you're not going to waste everybody's time. But it's hard for me to believe that would be viewed negatively if you just assume people know less than they actually know, and you explain things a little bit easier.
Yeah, do you remember Leadership and Self-Deception? They talk about how we kind of intuitively know how the other person feels about us.
That's right.
We talk down to people when we actually think less of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's
so
good.
We explain things clearly to people that we respect because we care about them. So again, your intent matters so deeply. You said it. If you really think that this person is less than you and is an idiot, you're going to talk down to them, and it's going to be communicated that way.
Yep.
But if you really respect the person and go, hey, this new hire is a tremendous person, and this new hire is a wonderful employee of our organization, and so I want to do everything I can do to set you up for success. That's different. Over-explaining something, they're going to give you grace for that, right? They're not going to give you grace for, she thinks I'm an idiot. If you actually think that he's an idiot, you're probably going to talk to him like he is an idiot.
You can't hide it.
You can't. You're not going to be able to. You're going to try to, and you won't be able to.
That's right.
So you really, that intent, to your point, it matters so deeply. I think that's how we avoid this coming across like we're talking down to someone. But I
That's
love
right.
the idea. It might be hyperbolic, but I don't think you'll go wrong to assume nobody knows anything.
That's right. Okay. So then the second thing that we can do to avoid this is just not being afraid of repetition, right? We're going to have to repeat ourselves certain things. I can't hear this enough. Sending one email is only sending one email. That's all it is. Saying it
You
one
should
time.
know. How do you not know this? I sent you an email.
I did. It was there. I can even pull up the exact date and time that I sent it.
That's right.
It doesn't matter. That was one email. Saying it one time in a meeting is not clear. It is repeating it over and over and over again. Just gets all the ways you're thinking about something, and it gets it out there over and over again. Now, listen, if I was talking to your team, one of the things I would tell your team is when your boss starts repeating herself over and over again or himself over and over again, start taking notes because they're giving you clues. Now, but I'm not talking to them. I'm not talking to your team right now. I'm talking to you as the leader. So when you can define what the win looks like over and over again and repeating it 10 times more than you think you should, and listen, this is just the cost of leadership sometimes. This is just what you've got to pay as a team leader is just recognizing that you are being clear when they start making fun of you. Right? When they can repeat back and make fun of you a little bit and just go, oh, yeah, we get it. It's got to be first time, right first time. That's what it's got to be. Then you go, yeah, they're going to make fun of me a little bit. And they're going to throw those little phrases out there, but that means I'm being clear.
Yeah, this is what great coaches do, right? I mean, if we look throughout the sports world, the great coaches are the ones that repeat the fundamentals every single practice, right? Mm-hmm. And so if they do it, I think the question would be, well, why wouldn't we do it as leaders? And I love what you said, Adam, that it's the tax you pay, it's the cost for being a great leader. Again, if you want to be a good leader, if you want to be an average leader, doesn't take much time, doesn't take a lot of energy. But if you want to be a great leader, it's going to require you to not be afraid to repeat yourself, not be afraid to give the fundamentals over and over and over and over again, particularly around what a win is, right?
Yeah.
Most people, I'm amazed that most people in their job do not know what the win is.
It's
as
amazing.
the boss, your job, one of your primary responsibilities is to define in painfully clear terms what the win is, and then to say it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. And listen, Gallup puts out a bunch of stats showing how few people understand what's expected of them every day at work. All right. So there's two things I want to say there. Number one, that's on you as the leader to define the win and put it out there. Okay. So when it's possible, repeat yourself on what that win is over and over again. However, there's some complexity and some nuance to that. And I think it's this, is that we live in a world filled with volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And what was a win yesterday may not be a win today. And as leaders, many days we're just improvising and making it up. That's reality. You need to communicate that. Let people know, hey, here's how I'm thinking about this. Everything is changing. Every day we wake up, there's a new headline on what the tariffs are going to be. I don't know what a win is right now. So the win today is this, but that may change tomorrow. So even though you can't be certain, you can be clear in the midst of all of that uncertainty and repeating yourself over and over again with that. So that repetition will really help that curse of knowledge.
All right, number one, assume nobody knows anything. Number two, don't be afraid to repeat yourself over and over again. And then number three, you give a great ask this question instead of this question.
Yes.
Give it to us.
Yeah, so it's basically like this, not that. What's unclear? Question mark. Stop, pause, don't say anything else. Versus, does that make sense? Or any questions, right? And so if we were going to go into some grammar here, what I want, or maybe not, this isn't grammar, maybe this is just some communication 101, end with an open-ended question that invites feedback, not with a yes or no question that may cause the person to feel like they're an idiot if they are still unclear and they don't feel like they've really got permission to say, I am unclear. My favorite one is just throw myself under the bus. Hey, that was a lot. I said all that really quick. I know sometimes I'm not as clear as I think. What would be helpful for me to go back over again, right?
The thing I like about that, Adam, is there's a sense of ownership that I haven't done a good enough job making this clear. That's embedded in the question, what's unclear? Embedded in that is that I potentially might not have been as clear as I wanted to be. So help me clarify what it is that I need to clarify versus any questions puts the onus on the listener that you're an idiot, you couldn't figure out, and that's why you probably have a question. That's different than, hey, I perhaps made something unclear. I want to make it clear. Help me with it. What's unclear?
Yeah, Jocko and the Echelon group use something called the read back. They basically just go, hey, read back to me what we just talked about. Like, pretend like you're going to go explain this to somebody else. What did you hear me say? That's some language that you can use. Okay, this is one like from my world of leading workshops that I think is applicable to one-on-one and team leadership as well. So sometimes in a workshop, I will, at the end of a section, I'll just put a slide up that says, any questions? And it's crickets. Nobody asks a question. And I'm like, listen, I understand it's maybe right before lunch or right after lunch, and you guys just kind of want to move on to the next thing. But I know there's some questions here. And so I've started a new tactic, thanks to the help of ChatGPT. I've started a new tactic, and I'm shocked at how it works, okay? And so what I will do now is the last slide is I will just say, I need 3 questions on the top on everything I just got done covering. It could be a question about how to apply this. It could be a disagreement. It could be a question about what are my personal opinions on this. It could be a question about anything. But we'll move on when I get 3 questions. And hands immediately go up in the air, Clay. Like I'm sitting there going, like, how does that work?
In between me and lunch.
That's right. But it's so again, if it's like rather than just asking the open-ended what's unclear, just go, all right, give me 3 questions on everything I just said there, and then we'll move on to the next one. I think there's something about the definition of it, and they know that you only want 3. And pick whatever number. I don't think there's something magic with the number 3, but again, it's just showing a little bit of humility to go, I'm not always as clear as I think I am. I might have the curse of knowledge right now, and so I want the audience to give me some feedback, and I want the person I'm talking to let me know, and I want to make it safe to ask the question and go, I don't know, can you say all that over again?
It's great.
So
to summarize, assume nobody knows anything.
That's
Approach your leadership like everyone is new. Respect them, care about them, don't talk down to them, but assume that they don't know anything. Don't be afraid to repeat yourself. Don't be afraid to say the same thing over and over again. Being an average leader is easy. Being a great leader takes time.
Yep.
And then last one, try this question. What's unclear instead of any questions? People rarely like to admit. People are pretty hesitant to admit when they don't understand something.
Yeah.
But they won't be afraid to admit that maybe there was something that you didn't make clear. So try what's unclear instead of any questions.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, final thought here. People want to succeed. They want to win. They just don't know how. You probably have a lot of great info up here that you're just like glossing over. You're sitting on gold and you don't even know it. And so hopefully you feel some permission now and have some tools to be able to share that more so your team isn't suffering from your curse of knowledge, because it can be immensely helpful. So,
yeah, I would just say, you want to be a better leader, then start by assuming that people need more clarity from you.
Yeah.
Because they do.
They do.
Yeah.
All right, Clay. As always, great to be with you, bud.
Yeah, you too, Adam. Thanks.
Well, that's all we got for today's episode of the How to Lead podcast. You can always reach out to us via email. We can be reached at info@howtolead.work. That's info@howtolead.work. Every episode is mixed and edited by the team over at Sound of a Rose. You can learn more about them at soundofarose.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you again next time.